slowly turning red, and if it falls apart, I'm okay with that. I got these memories, I got these photographs, a true heart, been broken, going too far with my emotions, and if it falls apart, I'm okay with that. This moment was meant to last. Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while. Catch a falling star and you hold it like you stole it from the sky. Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while. Only once in a lifetime. There's a long trail running into nowhere, and I don't care, 'cause I've already been there. If I don't get far, I'm okay with that, 'cause this moment was made to last. Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while. Catch a falling star and you hold it like you stole it from the sky. Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while. Only once in a lifetime. Ooh, 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 ooh. Lightning
Where you want me to go?
in a bottle, walking on the moon. Sometimes life is like a dream come true. Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while.
Hey everybody, we have been kind of teasing for a while now in some of our videos that we might be up to something. Well, today we're going to kind of give you a little glimpse of that. You can kind of see around us up here. We are moving to LJ. And so right behind us here we've got the house marked off. I'll get a little bit of video of that. We just had our perk test done this week.
Everything came out great.
Everything came out great. He spotted 4 different places that we can put the septic, so it gives us plenty of flexibility. We're actually heading up to some places next week to get some price quotes on some materials and stuff, everything to build the house with. And then we'll be getting our permit for the septic tank next week. Once we get the permit for the septic tank and they come out and tell us exactly where it has to go, then we've already got the people lined up to come in here and start doing the grading. And so plans right now is we're going to do a Barndominium build. We're going to build a 40 by 56 foot house.
And then a garage that's about twice that size.
The garage right now is laid out at 48 by 80. There'll be 14-foot sidewalls on the house, 16-foot sidewalls on the garage, and I'll throw some pictures up here of what the blueprints and everything look like right now. Now, all that's not finalized yet. We're still trying to get some quotes, which here in Georgia have posed to be it's been a problem. Barndominiums are kind of new around here. A lot of people don't know what they are, how they're built. And so we're having a little bit of trouble trying to find a builder right now and getting some price quotes. So that's the reason why we're actually going to head up to Kentucky tomorrow to Menards, because we've seen some other YouTubers use Menards for their materials. And so we'll be heading up there to see if they can help us out on trying to get us some price quotes, so we know if we're even in the right price range here for what we want to do. We do have a budget that we're going to try to meet here, and try to get some different things done.
Well, and as we get more numbers and as we get down this road a little ways, we'll give you guys more of those prices and more of the quotes to help you in your search if you're looking to build something like what we're doing.
Yeah, because there seems to be a lot of people interested in doing this kind of build right now. And YouTube's a great place to watch a lot of the builds, but a lot of times they don't go into any details. And so it's kind of hard to find pricing. It's kind of hard to find who they usually build them. We're going to be upfront and disclose all of that. We'll show you line item by line item what our budget is and what it costs. And obviously we'll be showing you step by step along the way as they do the clearing.
The whole process.
And the whole process. And so hopefully that'll help a lot of you guys know if this is something you even want to get into or not.
For sure.
And so stay tuned. We'll have a whole series on this, and we'll follow it from start to finish. So you can see here, here's one of the left front corner of where the house will be. I don't know if you can see it good in this video here, guys, or not, but it's pretty good ways that way. Is another marker for that front corner. And then we have one spot marked right there for the septic. And then we have another one way down yonder, if you can see that orange streamer that he approved for the septic. And then we have another one right there. And so that gives us a lot of flexibility. There's actually a fourth one over on the other side. And so that'll give us a lot of flexibility on where we can put it, because we also, where we're at up here, there's not city water. And so we will have to do a well. And so we've got to get that witched. Her dad is actually does well witching. We'll actually get her dad to come up here and witch us a well. And so that will depend, depending on which side we do the well on. It has to be so many feet apart. I think it's 75 feet away from where the septic tank is. And so that a lot of that will depend on where we put everything. Of course, the county's got to come up here and they'll take these 4 spots and they've got to develop a plan on how many field lines we got to put in. And that's determined by how many bathrooms and the square footage of the house. And so they'll come up here and tell us, a little bit more exact of where we got to go to put the septic tank in. And so we'll start that process next week.
Only once in a lifetime, only once in a while, catch a falling star and you hold it.
Alright guys, just to kind of continue on our journey here. We showed you the other day where we was out there and had the perk test done, and he told us kind of the day he was there that everything was good, and we had to wait a couple of days to get the official report, through email and in the mail. But
we got really lucky though, and our report came through email really fast, and our septic permitting office actually took our printed copy, which they don't always do, so keep in mind you may have to have your real copy to get your septic permit.
Yeah, he warned us that some counties, depending on where you're at, sometimes they actually require the one, because what they do is they put like a stamp or seal on it, and so some of them require that copy with the seal on it. He said some of them will take a photocopy, some of them won't. Luckily in Gamble County, where we are building at over in LJ, took the email copy, which had the photocopy of the seal on it.
Which let us apply about a day in advance.
Yeah. So we got that done, and they told us it could be 7 to 10 days. We're kind of around the holidays right now, and so she said that may affect some on getting the permit done, and they had been bombarded with getting permits too. But ironically, the very next day we had our septic permit
already emailed,
approved.
Yeah, so we have got septic approved. We then immediately have contacted the guys that are going to do all of our grading and our driveway work. They are applying for our land disturbance permit, and they said they should be breaking ground within about a week. Yeah,
hopefully by the end of next week, barring any weather. It's kind of been rainy here this week, so that may put a damper on things a little bit. But yeah, they should be breaking ground and starting to put the driveway in next week. These guys are doing the driveway. They're going to be doing all the clearing for us. They're going to be hauling off all the trees, getting rid of all the stumps, doing the site preparation as far as doing all the leveling, and putting the septic tank in, and running all the electrical. Yes. We're going to do underground electrical from the road. So everywhere on the property, the electrical will be underground.
Yeah, and so while they've got everything dug up for putting in the septic tank, they're just going to go ahead and dig that line to bury the electrical cables, and so we should be good to go.
Yeah, and so in other news, we did tell you, we're trying to build a Barndominium, and we have been having a lot of trouble trying to find somebody in our area that can build a barndominium. To be honest with you, we've had trouble in our area finding anybody in our town that even knew what a barndominium was.
Some people did not. Yeah.
Ironically, a lot of people, when you call them up and say, hey, I want to build a barndominium, they say, oh, where'd you find an old barn at? No. So just, some of you guys, and obviously if you're probably watching this video once we get it out there, you probably obviously know what a barndominium is, because you've already got that idea and probably wanting to find information. That's probably why you're watching this video.
Right.
But just on the off case, if you don't know what a barndominium is, and it can be lots of different things. A lot of people argue about semantics and get into where it's got to be certain this or certain that, or it ain't a barndominium. I'm not that way. To me, a barndominium is basically a metal building that has been turned into residential so that you can live in it. And so basically we're building kind of a little house and a big garage.
Well, and for me, when I think of barndominium, I think like post frame construction or metal beam construction that gives you those great big expansive cathedral ceilings and open space.
And I think that's what draws so many people to the barndominiums, is the expansive space you can have with not having to have any posts, not having to have any load bearing walls. Right. And so you can have this big, huge open area. And to me, I think that's what most people classify as barndominium.
Right.
Some people get down into semantics and say, oh, if you do it with red steel, it's not a barndominium. Or, oh, if the outside isn't metal, it's not a barndominium. I don't believe in all that. I think it's whatever you want to make it.
Right.
But to me, the open concept is the barndominium. Now, we are going to go with the metal roof and the metal siding. Mm-hmm. I have seen other people that have done different sidings on there. I don't have an issue with that. But so I guess to back up a little bit, in doing all that, we've had a lot of trouble finding people that understand what a barndominium is, finding a builder that understands what a barndominium is, and that has the know-how or to build it. Most people in our area, this is not very common, and so most builders in our area only know how to stick build. And stick building is a lot different than post frame construction, and definitely a lot different than the metal building, the red steel. Now, there's plenty of people. I mean, you drive down any road, probably anywhere in the country, I would think, there's lots of buildings made of red steel. Churches, fire halls, all this kind of stuff, but most of them's commercial. And in our area, at least, commercial means you might as well triple or quadruple your budget. I don't know what it is about that, but when you start talking commercial, price just goes out of the roof.
Well, and not only that, there are different building requirements for residential versus commercial.
That is true.
So you do have to have different insulation levels and different
well, the
features.
Spacing is different.
Right.
Your spacing requirements on your post are different from commercial versus residential. So the first thing, if you're going down this road, people, the first thing I can strongly suggest is, before you start looking at building plans, before you even start buying land, go to your local building inspector and make sure they will even approve barndominiums.
Right.
Because when we first started down this road, when we was looking for land, there was a lot of counties that do not permit those type of buildings. And it's not because I feel like they're unsafe or they're not built as well. I think a lot of it has to do with they just don't know what they are and they don't understand them.
Right. So that's another tip as well. When you go to get your permits, you don't necessarily have to even call it a barndominium.
Yes, I would suggest you don't.
Right. You're doing a site-built home. It's just being built in a little bit of a different manner. So talk with your builders, find someone who knows what they're talking about and who can help you guide you through that process of getting your permits.
Yeah. And so we realized, as we was having trouble getting people to understand what we was talking about, I quit using the word barndominium. It just confused too many people. So then I started referring to it as either post-frame construction or red steel. Ironically, a lot of people understand what red steel is.
Right.
And so, that's how I started approaching things, and it seemed to help a lot, even with the building inspector when I went to talk to him to make sure that it would be approvable in our area. And so just keep those things in mind when you're out there looking for somebody to do this. Watch out for scammers.
Yes, for sure.
I won't name names on this video, although I should, but they probably changed their name. I busted a scammer this week as we was trying to talk to different builders, because again, we was getting to the point where we're breaking ground, we're getting the driveway cut in, but we still don't have a builder. And so, you know, I was out here on Facebook on some of these private Facebook pages, you know, for Barndominiums on a budget, all this kind of thing.
Right.
Just seeking advice, you know, it's like, hey, are there any builders out there that will build, we'll build in LJ, Georgia, you know, that will build in the North Georgia area. And you would be amazed at how many places pop up that all of a sudden says, oh yeah, we'll do it. And then you get to looking at them and they're in Texas.
Across the country,
yeah, across the country. And so that was my first clue. But then as I started talking to him, things just started not sounding right. And so I finally called the guy out on it. And I talked to this guy in person. I talked to him through text, and I talked to him through messages.
You talked to him on the phone, not in person.
Yeah, in person on the phone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, supposedly they had a place in Tennessee and one place in Texas, and they could send crews from either one to build ours. But when it got down to the nitty-gritty, and I used to do some construction, so I understand some of the terms. I understand some things that maybe a lot of people might not. And so when we drew our plans, we drew our plans ourselves. We kind of looked at a bunch of different Barndominium plans, and kind of really honestly took pieces of 3 or 4 different ones we liked and put it together the way we wanted it put together.
Right.
And so we kind of hand drew our plans. I'd had some drafting experience in the past, and so I kind of knew how to do some of that. I did it on the computer, so I could get a pretty good plan drawn out. And from that, we was able to figure out roof pitches to make sure certain things would work and all this. But ironically, when we got talking to this guy and started getting down to, you know, really trying to get some numbers out of him, he didn't know how to figure the roof pitch of the house from the plans. And I'm like, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
You know, because you can almost punch it in any computer program, any kind of drafting program, and it's going to tell you your roof pitch. And I'm like, okay, you know, if you can't figure out how to do your own, how to figure out the roof pitch yourself without coming to me as a consumer and having to ask me what the roof pitch is, that was a big red flag. And so I called him out on that, and I said, look, dude, if you can't even do that, there's something wrong here. You're not a legitimate builder. And of course, you know, normally when you confront somebody like that and it's the truth, the first thing they're going to do is get irate. And so he got pretty upset with that statement. And so I told him, because I'd noticed on these Barndominium pages, he kept getting, anytime anybody asked for a builder, there was actually 2 other guys that kept posting his card out there, his picture of his card, that they do Barndominiums, which was another real red flag to me, because he never personally posted his information. It was always 2 other people posting his information. And so I told him, I said, I'm going to start, I said, if you don't stop spamming these Facebook pages, I'm going to call you out on them. And I did. Ironically, as soon as I did that, that business kind of went poof. You don't see from them you don't see them anymore, don't hear from them anymore. They're not posting anything on any of these Barndominium pages anymore. And so I hope, by me being a little diligent there and calling them out, I hope hopefully saves some other people some trouble getting ripped off from them. Ironically, he actually sent me a text that he meant to send to his boss, saying that, you know, what happens when the money starts coming in and people start putting things together and figure us out. And so if that ain't a dead giveaway that they was scamming people, probably taking deposits from people after giving them quotes and then never showing up to do the work, is probably what's happening. So I hope it saves some trouble, some people some heartache in doing that. But just be very, 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 very cautious when you're dealing with people. And that's the reason why I really urge you to go local if you can. We had some trouble finding some local. Luckily, I got a phone call yesterday from a guy that I had done some business with 15 years ago, and I think he is going to be able to help us out getting our Barndominium built. He knew exactly what we was talking about, what we was referring to, and seemed very knowledgeable in the conversation. So we have sent him our blueprints, our floor plan, and he's going to take a look into it, see what it'll take to get them drawn up and get us some estimates, and hopefully we can be good with him. So just keep all those things in mind when you're out there looking.
Yeah, with all that said, we now probably have our builder, but as you've probably already heard us say, we made a trip up to Kentucky to go to a building supplier there. We went to Menards, and we had heard really good things about them. Everything we found online about them was just really appealing.
Yeah. If you want to know a little bit more about them, I'll give a shout out to Marshall Remodel. Go look them up on YouTube. This guy has built he's building his own family's Barndominium basically all by himself, which is an amazing feat. That he's done nearly all this work by himself. Yeah. But I'll give a shout out to him because he's the one that turned us on to Menards, and we found out there was one just a few hours away, so that's why we went and visited Menards.
Right, so we had been in contact with one of the managers at Menards. His name is Connor, and he was fantastic to deal with. So we ended up going to the Louisville, Kentucky Menards, their showroom there, I guess is what you could call it. It's a ginormous store with just about anything you can think of, and so we love the store, and they were so helpful. They gave us so much information, but unfortunately we found out that we will not be able to use Menards for our Barndominium, and that's another little tip there. Menards, being in Kentucky, they do not have the authority to be able to stamp certified on trusses for the state of Georgia.
Well, and they was going to do our engineered plans, and again, since they don't have a location in Georgia, they can't certify those plans. That's two big things you got to have for your inspections and your building permit and your building inspections, is they do have to be certified within your state. And so since they couldn't certify the trusses, they couldn't certify the floor plan, neither one of those did us any good.
Well, so, but I mean, they were still a wealth of knowledge. They helped us so much, and Connor really went out of his way to make sure we had any information that we needed there. So we are so thankful to Menards, even though unfortunately we will not be able to use most of their products.
Yeah, but if you do have a Menards in your general vicinity, especially in your state,
please go
check them out, because they are able to draw up residential Barndominium plans. They can supply you a materials list. They can show you the cost for all the materials, and most of them even have independent contractors there that can erect them and everything for you too. And so if you have that resource, by all means check them out, because they did a wonderful job for us. Unfortunately, since we was across state lines, it didn't work out for us.
Right.
But man, they had we checked out some of their tubs and faucets and even wood while we was up there, and they had some wonderful deals.
Yeah.
And the guy up there also told me that once a month throughout the year they offer an 11% rebate. So whatever you buy during that month or during that time, you get 11% back. And so if you're dropping $100 grand on building materials, that's a lot of money. That's big savings. And in addition, they already had good prices to begin with. Anyways, they was beating a lot of our other local home stores around here in prices by a long ways.
Huge margins, yeah.
And so then if you get 11% on top of that too, that's a pretty good deal. So
yeah,
I hope some of this information helps you guys. I know we did a lot of talking today. We're driving down the interstate here while we're trying to run around trying to get all this stuff in place to get things ready to go. But a lot of the YouTube videos we watch, not criticizing anybody, I love watching the YouTube videos, I love watching the builds, but a lot of time it's just pictures of the builds or walkthroughs of the builds after they get through, and there's not a whole lot of information as far as pricing or who who the builders was, or what the processes you had to go through to get to the point of building. And so we really hope to go in depth into showing you the process. We've showed you that once we acquired our land, we had to get a perk test. We had to get our septic tank permit. The guys that's doing the dozing work, they've got to get a land disturbance permit before we can go start cutting down trees or taking any kind of doing bulldozer work. And so we hope some of this helps you as to what it takes to get to that point. And as we get into it more, we will start showing you prices.
Yeah.
I can tell you to date, the initial perk test, we had to get a soil scientist to come out to do that. It was an independent company. It wasn't related to the county. That was $450.
Mm-hmm.
Our septic tank permit is $350.
Mm-hmm. And that varies based on your square footage, number of bathrooms, all that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so just know that when you go to do that, if you've got a basement that you're putting in or a second story, they account for all that heated living space
Right.
on what they're going to charge you for these permits a lot of times.
Well, and I'm sure it also varies by county.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
And so just make sure you check into all that so you don't get surprised with those fees.
Yeah, and do all that up front before you get too far down there, because you don't want to get down here and spend say $1,500, $2,000 for plans and then buy your land and then go to apply for a permit and they say, oh, I'm sorry, you can't build a barndominium.
Right.
That could be devastating if that's what you got your heart set on.
Well, and basically what we're trying to do, we want to make some videos for you guys that answer the questions that we were looking for answers to.
Yes, and couldn't find.
Right, and so if you guys think of anything that we're missing, shoot us a message. We'd be happy to answer.
Absolutely. If we left out a tidbit of information that you want to know or need to know, let us know. If we know that information, we will definitely answer. We're trying to be very diligent of answering every single comment that anybody makes in our videos. And so, by all means, shoot us a message. We will show you all the typical stuff too. Obviously, I'm going to get the drone out here this weekend. We're going to do some drone footage before they start clearing the land, because this land hasn't been cleared in probably,
it's been
50 years or more.
many years.
And so we're going to do some drone footage of the property before anything is disturbed, and then we'll definitely be taking some footage as they start doing that first cut in of the driveway and doing the clearing, and obviously the whole building process. So we'll bring you all that usual stuff too, but we hope to bring you numbers and details and anything else we think might be beneficial to you.
Yep, we're here to help.
And so anyways, guys, I'm sorry it was all talking while we was driving today, but it was mostly just information we had. Nothing too exciting yet. It's just filling out paperwork and paying money. But that's part of it. You got to get there. So
well, and that's pretty exciting to us because that means the ball's rolling.
Yeah, and we are so tickled that we got our septic permit within a day, man. I mean, being right here around the holidays and everything else, we expected a week or more, and so that the dozen guys are on setting on go. They've been kind of waiting on us to get these other permits done, and so I was so glad that we're able to get that done really quick.
Yeah,
so
we're super excited to see some dirt moving next week.
Yeah.
And
so we'll bring you more videos of all that once we start breaking ground. Anything else happens in the meantime that comes up, we'll be sure to let you guys know.
Yep, hang with us. We'll take you on a journey with us.
See you next time.
Bye, guys. I said, it's okay. I'll kiss you anyway. I don't need mistletoe. And see, I thought I was all snooty and snobby in high school and stuck up, but I was coming down a dirt road to this place.
Already been there. If I don't get far, I'm okay with that, 'cause this moment was